Hey guys, we're with Radiant Clean. Today we were supposed to just seal this driveway. So they had hired somebody to come in and pressure wash it and sand it and seal it, and apparently they bailed on them. So they had told them it was sanded, and they did sand it, but really poorly. So we're not going to be able to just seal it today. So you can see here some of these gaps are not really filled very well. They overfilled other areas of the surface, so you can see a lot of the joints have like almost nothing in them. They overfilled, and sand is coming up in other areas, so you can see like underfilled and overfilled all in the same joint. So I don't want to seal that for the client because it will just seal in the bad work. You can see like overfilled, and then so it looks like they used polymeric but didn't do it correctly. So we're gonna have to fix that for them as much as we can. So let's see if we can see here. And then they have a little patio, and you can see like there's a residue on this pavers themselves, that and like chunks missing out of it. I don't know if you can see that. So anyway, so what I'm going to do today is I didn't plan on doing a full driveway refurb here, but I'm going to pressure wash it again for them, get off some of this loose stuff that was done inappropriately, try to get off some of the stuff that was overfilled. We're going to have to let it dry and come back because I didn't bring sand or anything with me. So maybe in a day or so. But I'm going to pressure wash it for him and then come back and see if we can fix it. So I'm going to get the pressure washer cranked up, which we didn't plan on using today, but we'll be back with you guys in a bit. Alright guys, we got this washed, pressure washed, get a lot of the gunk out of the joints. Now I'm gonna put down some SH. I don't know if the previous person did SH, which I'm kind of doubting, so I'm gonna make sure there's no mold and mildew in here. Pump is moving slow this morning. Gotta wait for the SH to get going through it. I've got a bit of an air leak somewhere. Takes about a minute for it to get through 200 feet of hose. Alright, there we go. Now some SH is starting to come through. It's a little sputtery. Now, getting to see where that's leaking. There's a roof coming up here, so we don't want that to take forever. It's sputtering bad. I think we're going to look at pricing out a gas system. This 12 volt's been good for us. You know, it's inexpensive to run, but it definitely has its limitations. I don't think this is the 12 volt. I think air is getting into the system, so we need to find out where that's getting in. But a gas system, you know, it's can shoot farther and higher and faster, so it does use more chemical. But you know, when we're doing a big roof, it will speed things up quite nicely. We don't do as many roofs in the summer down here in Florida. Which is good because it's really hot. So yeah, let me pull this hose out. So this is a great example of why you don't hire somebody that just is a handyman to try to do your pressure washing, and especially something like sealing your driveway. Everybody thinks they can do it, and it's not rocket science, but you do need to know what you're doing. You need to know what products you're using. But it's also about just having a dependable company that you're working with. You need to make sure that, it's not just some fly-by-night guy with a Home Depot pressure washer on the back of his truck or in a trailer. Make sure it's a legitimate company. Make sure it's not just some teenager that his mom and dad bought him a pressure washer and he's suddenly starting his own business. Everybody wants to support the hustlers, which is great. I support hustling too, but make sure it's a legitimate company. Make sure that they're, a registered company, that they have liability insurance. We have $2 million in liability insurance. So if, we've never had to use it, but if something happened that, was a fluke, we damaged somebody's roof, break a window, whatever that might be, because we have that liability insurance, we aren't going to go bankrupt. We can actually pay for it to be repaired it ourselves, or, mitigate the problem. So some of these fly-by-night, handyman or high school kid aren't going to have that. And, and they don't necessarily have the right equipment. We see the horror stories all the time of, you see somebody who says they know how to clean roofs and they got a surface cleaner up on the roof, absolutely destroying the person's roof. And, they're not going to know it right away that they destroyed it. But, in a couple of years when it's leaking and it's diminished, halved the life of the roof, and it's diminished it by 5 or 10 years, that's when it's going to hit them. But this person, I'm giving these guys kind of a price break on this because they already paid to have this driveway sealed. And the person that came in apparently was a handyman and kind of did a partway job. I think he cleaned it and sanded it, but he did a crappy job sanding it. It was missing all sorts of sand, gaps in the sand, overfilled in other spots. So crappy job sanding it, and then he ghosted him, so he just disappeared. So make sure the company you're using has good Google reviews. They have good reputation. We do our YouTube channel so that people can see the work that we do, and to see the kind of effort it takes and the quality it takes and the tips and tricks that go into it, so they can see that we're a real company. We're not just some fly-by-night company. So all right, anyway, so I'm putting down the SH here a lot slower than I'd like because it's sputtering, but this way when we come back to sand and seal this, it's gonna not have the mold and mildew that might be hiding in these cracks and crevices. Like I said, I would bet that the previous person didn't treat it with SH, which you always want to do before you seal it, because that you can get seeds and the mold, mildew, and algae, and even moss sometimes hiding in these cracks and crevices if they haven't been sanded correctly or sanded for a long time. And so you don't want to seal that into your sealant because it'll just grow it through. So make sure we got this treated for them. We didn't expect to have to sand this and stuff today, like I said earlier, so I'm going to have to come back in a couple days and do it when our schedule allows us. So we'll sand that, and of course it has to be dry before we sand it anyway, so I would have to wait a couple hours here before I was able to sand it anyway, but well, maybe not a couple hours in this sun today. This is direct sun. Usually you have to wait a little bit longer when it's a patio area because if they have any kind of covered section of the patio, it takes longer to dry. And then it is hot down here, but it's also very humid, so sometimes they don't dry as quickly as you'd like because of the humidity. All right, so I'm gonna work on this for a bit, and then we'll come back to this once we, and then probably in a couple days when we're sanding it, and show you the kind of the before and after. Like I said, there's, you know, with all the missing sand and it's poorly done. I want to set this up right for these guys, so I feel bad for them that they already paid for this job once and then they get it taken care of correctly. So we'll set them up. We'll make sure this is done correctly for them. It looks good, and then we'll go from there. So, all right, I'll be back with you guys in a minute. I'm gonna pull the hoses around to the patio and get that set up back there. So I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Hey guys, we're here with Ready and Clean. Today we're back at this house in River Hills, Florida. We had cleaned the pavers after somebody did a crappy job sanding them and ghosted these people doing a resealing project. So we cleaned them. So now I'm back today. They've had a chance to dry. And we're going to sand and seal. I do have to let a couple spots, it looks like, dry a little bit. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but they are a little wet, it looks like, from the sprinklers. So especially over here by the door, this is all damp in here, unfortunately, so we're gonna have to let that dry. You can tell there's a lot of gaps here, so this is gonna take a decent amount of sand. So hopefully I brought enough. But we have the back patio area too. So we're gonna get started where it is dry and get some sealant on this before it gets too ungodly hot here in Florida. All right, so I'm gonna get out the sand. We'll start sanding and back with you in a minute. All right, guys, so I'm going to keep sanding here. I won't bore you with the whole process, but essentially I'm getting an initial fill into the joints. There are some joints that are pretty large, so this is going to take a decent amount of sand, but we don't want it filled completely to the top, so I'm going to go back over this and sweep it in more thoroughly, but you don't want it like overflowing the top. You just want it in between the joints to stabilize. So once this is sanded on, we get the sand on there, I'm going to take a leaf blower and blow off the excess and get it down to the level that it's supposed to be before we seal it. So I'll be back with you guys in a bit. Alright guys, so started putting down the flood coat. This is just a little bit more water to chemical in a mix that we're using. We use ITC product that's water soluble, and so we mix it with a little bit more water to do the flood coat, and get it into those cracks and joints so it fills everything. And then on the second coat we go over a little bit thicker with the or you know, it's a lighter coat, but it's a little bit heavier mix of chemical to water, so it's like a 2-to-1 or to 1-to-1, depending on how glossy you want it. So we'll see how this looks after this first coat. Not sure how much chemical we're going to need for this job, because these pavers are a little beaten up. But the whole point of this coat is to get that joint compound really kind of saturated, the joint sanding, so that it hardens. And the second coat is what gives it kind of that finished look. So. I forgot to wear gloves the last time I was doing this, last week, and I got sealant all over my hands, and it kind of makes a sticky mess. It doesn't wash off very easily. But what I found out, or what I discovered, is that if you coat your hands in coconut oil, it kind of takes away some of that stickiness. Alright, that's looking better. Normally I use a fan tip when I'm doing this, but the fan tip broke. So this one's taking a little bit longer. It's not covering as wide of an area with each pass, but it'll get the job done. I am so glad that I built this sprayer, bucket sprayer. There's a number of how-to videos on that around the internet, but some people are selling it for like $400, which seems a lot, but I think I built mine for like $100. Maybe I'll do a video and show you guys how I did it. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see how I built that, what products were involved, parts and stuff. It's pretty easy. It took me like an hour or so. Alright, I'm just going to start on the back patio. This is still first coat. We'll put a second coat here shortly on the driveway. All right, guys, so we finished putting down the second coat of sealant. So this is looking a lot better. It's going to need cure for a while, obviously, let those joints harden. We're going to put up a little caution tape to keep people from driving on it. Typically, we recommend do not drive on the sealant for 48 to 72 hours, ideally 72. These joints were pretty badly sanded by somebody else, so it took a little bit longer than I wanted, but you can see there's still some drying going on with that second coat over there in the shade. But these are going to look a lot better for them. You do get, depending on the condition of your pavers, we use a gloss water soluble sealant from ITC. And even though it's a gloss, it doesn't necessarily always get that really shiny look to it after the second coat, because if they're badly damaged, the first two coats just really the first coat just sucks right in like a sponge, and then so you don't get that necessarily glossy look. But a lot of people don't really like that anyway. One of the reasons we use gloss is I think it holds up better than some of the others. So. But it's going to look nice, keep the weeds down, keep the joints from getting washed out. So, all right, guys, if you have questions about the products that we use for sealing, or you want to see a video about how we built our bucket sprayer, let me know in the comments. If you're in the Tampa area, Greater Hillsborough area, and you need a paver sealing or any other exterior washing or window cleaning, give us a holler. We're always looking for new jobs, especially if you are in property management or real estate. We work a lot with commercial companies as well. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up, clean up our buckets and stuff, and get out of here. Go jump in the pool because it's hot here in Florida. And I'll talk to you later. Bye. All right, guys, so we finished putting down the second coat of sealant. So this is looking a lot better. It's going to need cure for a while, obviously, let those joints harden. We're going to put up a little caution tape to keep people from driving on it. Typically, we recommend do not drive on the sealant for 48 to 72 hours, ideally 72. These joints were pretty badly sanded by somebody else, so it took a little bit longer than I wanted, but you can see there's still some drying going on with that second coat over there in the shade. But these are going to look a lot better for them. You do get, depending on the condition of your pavers, we use a gloss water soluble sealant from ITC, and even though it's a gloss, it doesn't necessarily always get that really shiny look to it after the second coat, because if they're badly damaged, the first two coats just really, the first coat just sucks right in like a sponge, and then so you don't get that necessarily glossy look, but a lot of people don't really like that anyway. One of the reasons we use gloss is I think it holds up better than some of the others. So but it's going to look nice, keep the weeds down, keep the joints from getting washed out. So all right, guys, if you have questions about the products that we use for sealing, or you want to see a video about how we built our bucket sprayer, let me know in the comments. If you're in the Tampa area, Greater Hillsborough area, and you need a paver sealing or any other exterior washing or window cleaning, give us a holler. We're always looking for new jobs, especially if you are in property management or real estate. We work a lot with commercial companies as well. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up, clean up our buckets and stuff, and get out of here. Go jump in the pool because it's hot here in Florida, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.